Hello and welcome straight from New Delhi. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy, and coming up in the next 30 minutes. Ukraine's foreign minister urges Russia to unconditionally accept the 30-day ceasefire proposal ahead of the Trump-Putin phone call. The West Asia ceasefire is shattered as Israeli strikes across Gaza kill over 400 people, including top Hamas operatives. World leaders condemn the aerial bombings. And India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar underscores the need for a fair and robust international order on day 2 of the Raisina dialogue in Delhi. Israel's military has said it has conducted raids on Hamas targets in the Palestinian enclave of Gaza as explosions were heard over Gaza City in the early hours of Tuesday. Over 400 people are reported to be killed and more than 100 have been wounded in the strikes. Israel has said that the recent strikes in Gaza are a response to the Hamas's repeated refusal to release hostages as well as rejection of all ceasefire proposals. Israel's military has mentioned that the Home Command has ordered restrictions on civilian activity near the Gaza Strip following airstrikes. Schools will also be closed in areas near the Gaza Strip on Tuesday. Danny Danon, Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, said that Israel will show no mercy to its enemies.
The Israeli Air Force initiated a series of attacks against Hamas targets in Gaza. We will show no mercy on our enemies. Let me be very clear. Israel will not stop until all of our hostages are back home. We will make it very clear to the Security Council that if they want to stop the war in Gaza, they have to ensure that the hostages are coming back to Israel. We are committed to bring them back.
And the Hamas has confirmed that the head of its government in the Gaza Strip, Essam al-Dalis, is among the officials killed in the Israeli strikes on the Palestinian territory. Israel has vowed to continue fighting in Gaza until the return of all hostages, as it unleashed its most intense strikes in Gaza since the January ceasefire. And Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's office on Tuesday said that Netanyahu instructed the military to take strong action following the group's refusal to release hostages and its rejection of ceasefire proposals. The British government called on Israel and Hamas on Tuesday to implement their ceasefire agreement for Gaza in full, urging all parties to return urgently to dialogue to end the fighting. US President Donald Trump is set to hold talks with his Russian counterpart Vladimir Putin over a phone call. Trump said that many elements of a peace agreement in Ukraine have been agreed. The talks are scheduled for Tuesday morning and are aimed at ending the Ukraine conflict with Tuesday morning, yes, according to US time, with territorial concessions by Kyiv and control of the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant. Trump has been trying to win Putin's support for a 30-day ceasefire proposal that Ukraine accepted last week. And confirming the time for talks between Presidents Putin and Trump, the Kremlin has said that the phone call will be held between 1300 to 1500 GMT on Tuesday. It also said that talks will be about settling the Ukraine conflict and normalizing relations between Russia and the United States.
It definitely will be from 16 to 18 Moscow time. Indeed, as you know, there have been some discussions. So there is a certain understanding undoubtedly, but there are also a large number of issues related to the further normalization of our bilateral relations and Ukrainian settlement. All of that is to be discussed by the two presidents.
And Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andrii Sybiha has said on Tuesday that Kyiv was not the obstacle for a peace deal with Russia and believes it can achieve just and lasting peace under the leadership of US President Donald Trump. Sybiha was addressing the Raisina Dialogue 2025 in New Delhi and also said that Russia should accept the ceasefire proposal unconditionally.
This war is not about Ukraine. That's why it is also a global interest to achieve just, comprehensive, long-lasting peace. Yes, after Jeddah, we got another speed, new additional opportunities to end this war this year. And we are ready for this. We are not the obstacle to achieve.
And amid peace deal hopes, a Russian artist has retrieved from storage a combination portrait of both presidents painted on the occasion of Trump's first presidency in the United States. The painting is a combination of the faces of both Trump and Putin with peace written in the lower left corner in English. The art piece is named as Peace to Peace. German Chancellor in waiting Friedrich Merz on Tuesday has said that his proposed significant increase in defense spending is necessary due to Russian President Vladimir Putin's war of aggression against Europe. Merz said this in Parliament ahead of a vote on plans that also include substantial new funding for infrastructure.
The circumstances are determined above all by Putin's war of aggression against Europe. It is a war against Europe and not just a war against the territorial integrity of Ukraine.
The European Union led the way as donors on Monday pledged 5.8 billion euros in aid of Syria at a conference in Brussels. However, donations were down on the 7.5 billion euros promised overall at the conference last year. EU Commissioner for the Mediterranean, Dubravka Šuica, said that this money should be used for early recovery for the benefit of all Syrian citizens. The conference, 9th Brussels conference, standing with Syria, meeting the needs for a successful transition, is aimed at mobilizing international support for an inclusive, peaceful transition and to generate pledges for humanitarian and non-humanitarian assistance for Syria.
We just closed Syrian pledging conference. This was 9th conference in a row. It was very successful. We pledged a lot of money. Better to say it is 5.8 billion euro, out of which there is 4.2 in grants and only 1.6 in loans. I think this is good for the recovery, for the early recovery of Syria. And I also hope that Syrian authorities, who were represented by their Minister of Foreign Affairs, can be satisfied, and this money could and should be used for their early recovery and for the benefit of all Syrians.
And Donald Trump visited the John F. Kennedy Center in Washington in his first trip since appointing himself chairman, making changes to the leadership. Speaking from the presidential opera box, Donald Trump underscored his vision for the future of the institution. Trump highlighted his concerns about the Kennedy Center, mentioning that it was in tremendous disrepair and needed improvements. During his tour of the center, Trump took the opportunity to discuss past decisions and the changes he believes are necessary to improve the space. Meanwhile, at the center, Donald Trump announced that his administration would release all remaining Kennedy files on Tuesday. Trump revealed that he had instructed his team, including several individuals assembled by Director of National Intelligence Tulsi Gabbard, to release documents. He mentioned that there was a large amount of material to go through and emphasized that no redactions are anticipated. During his presidential campaign, Donald Trump had promised to release the files related to the assassination of President John F. Kennedy, a case that continues to fuel conspiracy theories more than 60 years after his assassination. The 35th President of the U.S. was killed on the 22nd of November, 1963 during his official visit to Dallas, Texas.
We are tomorrow announcing and giving all of the Kennedy files. So people have been waiting for decades for this. and I've instructed my people that are responsible, lots of different people, put together by Tulsi Gabbard, and that's going to be released tomorrow. We have a tremendous amount of paper. You've got a lot of reading. I don't believe we're going to redact anything. I said, just don't redact. You can't redact. But we're going to be releasing the JFK files.
The Trump administration's removal of hundreds of Venezuelans amid a court battle to block their deportation has ignited alarm, as it may have violated a court order barring its use of the Alien Enemies Act. We'll tell you what transpired in our next report.
US government is staring at a showdown with the judiciary after his Trump administration expelled alleged members of a Venezuelan gang under centuries-old wartime legislation. A federal judge held a hearing on Monday on whether the government deliberately ignored orders by flying more than 200 people to El Salvador. Justice Department lawyers told Judge James Bosberg that the deputies had already left the United States when the judge issued his written order barring their departure. White House said use of Alien Enemies Act was justified as Trump had declared members of the Venezuelan Tren de Aragua gang as a foreign terrorist group. Rights groups have now warned that the wartime legislation could be used as cover for mass deportations.
We had serious concerns going into the day that the government violated a federal court order. Today did nothing to dispel it. If anything, it reinforced that our view that the government may very well have violated this order, perhaps even knowingly violated.
Venezuela has denounced the treatment meted out to its nationals as fascist and a massive violation of human rights.
Los metieron esposados.
They handcuffed them without telling them where they're going. And when they arrived in El Salvador, they got them off the hard way. They humiliate them by throwing them on the ground. They shaved them. Do you call this justice? Do you call this international law? Do you call this human rights? How do you call this? This is called fascism, Nazism, and Venezuela is ready to denounce this massive violation of human rights against honorable migrant workers in the United States.
The Alien Enemies Act was last used in World War II to intern tens of thousands of Japanese Americans. Further, President Trump also claimed he had annulled pardons issued by his predecessor, Joe Biden, on the grounds that his Democratic predecessor supposedly used an auto pen for his signature. Bureau Report, DT India.
Peru declared a month-long state of emergency in the capital Lima on Monday to allow for the deployment of soldiers to help police crack down after a wave of killings linked to extortions. The move has come after singer Paul Flores was shot dead Sunday by a hitman who attacked a bus he was riding with bandmates as they left a concert outside Lima. The musicians had been threatened by a criminal gang who attempted to extort money from them. Under the state of emergency in effect for Lima and its port of Callao, the government can suspend civil liberties such as the right to assemble and house searches can be carried out. President Dina Boluarte declared after Flores' killing, "We will not allow one more death." She added she was seriously considering reinstating the death penalty for hitmen and extortionists. And still to come in this edition of DD India Live. New Zealand's Prime Minister Christopher Luxon says India and New Zealand are nearing an FTA deal. And Philippine Secretary for Foreign Affairs Enrique A. Manalo hints a strategic level elevation of partnership with India in the near future. Also, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi meets Indian contingent that participated in the Special Olympics World Winter Games. Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Gautam Roy. Now, India's External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar has underscored the need for a fair and robust international order. Speaking at the Thrones and Thorns, defending the integrity of nations session at the Raisina Dialogue, India's foreign minister stressed the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity, calling it a vital principle and a bedrock of global rules.
After the Second World War, the longest standing illegal, I would say, presence, occupation of a territory by another country pertains to India. What we saw in Kashmir. Now, we went to the UN. What was an invasion was made into a dispute. So, the attacker and the victim were put on par. Who were the culpable parties? UK, Canada, Belgium, Australia, USA. We speak today of political interference. When the West goes out into other countries, it's apparently in pursuance of democratic freedoms. When other countries come into the West, it seems to have a very malign intention.
Further, Dr. Jaishankar underlined the need for a strong as well as a fair UN, adding that a strong global order must have some basic consistency of standards.
I think we need, if to have an order, there must be fairness. We need a strong UN, but a strong UN requires a fair UN. A strong, a global order must have some, some basic consistency of standards. We have military coups to our east in Myanmar. They are no-no. We have them even more regularly to the west, where. They seem to be okay. So I think it's important to audit the working of the world for the last 8 decades and be honest about it, and to understand today that, the balances, the shareholdings in the world have changed. We need a different conversation.
U.S. National Intelligence Director Tulsi Gabbard delivered the keynote address at the ongoing Raisina Dialogue in New Delhi on Tuesday. Gabbard expressed her delight at returning to India, praising the country's warm culture and rich history. She emphasized the enduring strength of the U.S.-India partnership, noting that it has stood the test of time for decades.
It's been a constructive few days where I've been engaging with our Indian counterparts. The partnership between our two countries has been strong for decades, and under the leadership of two great leaders and true great friends, President Trump and Prime Minister Modi, and rooted in our shared values of peace and freedom, security and prosperity, I'm confident that this partnership and friendship between our two nations and our leaders will continue to grow and strengthen.
Gabbard further noted that President Trump's America First policy does not mean America alone.
So just as President Trump is committed to America first, putting the safety, security, and freedom of the American people at the forefront of his policies and his decisions, Prime Minister Modi is committed to India first. Prime Minister Luxon is committed to New Zealand first. This is the expectation of any leader's commitment to their people, to serve them, to put their interests at the forefront of their decisions. But this should not be misunderstood to mean that America first is America alone. The relationships that we build together are critical to advance our mutual interests.
And on the sidelines of the Raisina Dialogue 2025, India's External Affairs Minister has interacted with Peru's FM Elmer Sheila Salcedo. On Tuesday, the leaders discussed avenues for deepening bilateral political, economic and infrastructure cooperation and widening multilateral engagement. The leaders also witnessed an exchange of agreement between National Archives of India and General Archives of Peru on quick impact projects. In an exclusive conversation with DD India, Philippines' Secretary for Foreign Affairs, Enrique A. Manalo, highlighted the remarkable growth in India-Philippines relations over the past few years. He emphasized that both the nations are expanding cooperation in key areas such as artificial intelligence, cybersecurity and defense. Manalo also hinted at the possibility of formally elevating the partnership to a strategic level in the near future.
We are at India's premier geopolitical summit, the Raisina Dialogue, and we have with us a very special guest, the Foreign Affairs Minister of Philippines, Andrii Manalo. Sir, thank you so much for speaking with us and welcome to India. You are here, sir, at the Raisina Dialogue. First of all, I would like to ask you a question about Indo-Philippines relationships and how they have grown in the past 10 years as far as the closeness between the two countries are concerned.
Regarding Philippine-India relations, I'd say especially over the past few years, we have basically grown through leaps and bounds. Our relationship has never been better, and the prognosis for the future is very optimistic because we are expanding cooperation in many areas, not only traditional economic or trade, but even the new areas such as energy, AI, and cybersecurity, etc. So we are certainly expanding our cooperation and also in defense. So in many ways, there is a possibility in the near future of elevating the partnership formally to some kind of a strategic partnership.
Both of the countries have high stakes as far as the Indo-Pacific region is concerned. How do you see the cooperation moving forward in this arena as far as both the countries are?
Philippines and India share a common view that the Indo-Pacific region should be a region which is free and open, a region open to peace, stability, and cooperation. And I think we have similar policies to try and ensure that we maintain this situation in the greater Indo-Pacific as well as the various parts of the Indo-Pacific region.
Do you think that defense cooperation has to be strengthened and ramped up between the two countries?
I think related to defense cooperation is trade and economic cooperation, because that greater trade and economic cooperation enhances economic security, which in turn has also a direct relationship to improving your defense abilities.
Sir, my last question would be about Prime Minister Narendra Modi's leadership and how the relations between the two countries have grown. Also his speech about the Global South and how the countries of the Global South have to come together, be more assertive as far as their approach to shared concerns and shared opportunities.
Well, Prime Minister Modi has expressed it very eloquently on the importance of enhancing South-South cooperation, and this also happens to coincide with the approach of the Philippines, especially in today's world of increasing geopolitical uncertainty. The countries of the South need to expand cooperation in various means, because we need to have a world where all countries can participate and not let our future be determined only by the few and the powerful.
Also, while speaking with DD India, New Zealand's Prime Minister Christopher Luxon has said that India and New Zealand are nearing the signing of an FTA agreement.
When can we expect the FTA to come soon?
We're going to work really hard on it, but we've got a great future, our two great countries.
India's Defence Minister has met his counterpart from the Netherlands, Ruben Berkelmans, in New Delhi on Tuesday and reviewed the full range of India and Netherlands defence cooperation. In a social media post, Rajnath Singh said that he looked forward to further deepening and elevating defence partnership, adding that the areas of their discussion included defence, cybersecurity, Indo-Pacific and emerging technologies like AI. India's Minister of State for Health and Family Welfare, Anupriya Patel, inaugurated the TB Innovation Summit in New Delhi on Tuesday. Speaking at the event, the minister said that the summit is an innovative step towards tuberculosis eradication. The minister also inaugurated an innovation exhibition on the occasion.
The National TB Elimination Program is steadily progressing towards the goal of TB elimination from the soil of India and has made some key achievements. WHO's Global TB Report 2024 has also acknowledged that the incidence rate of TB in India has shown a 17.7% decline from 237 per lakh population in 2015 to 195 per lakh population in 2023.
In sports, India's Prime Minister Narendra Modi met with the Indian contingent that participated in the Special Olympics World Winter Games in Parliament on Tuesday. Prime Minister Modi congratulated the athletes on their achievements, having won 33 medals, including 8 gold, 18 silver and 7 bronzes in Italy. Sharing pictures with them on social media platform X, the PM wrote, and I quote, "I am immensely proud of our athletes who have brought glory to the nation at the Special Olympics World Winter Games held in Turin, Italy. Our incredible contingent has brought home 33 medals. And that's all we have for this edition of DD India Live. But let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. And for those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India's mobile app. It's available on both Android and iOS. You can scan the QR code on the screen and download the app right away. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Gautam Roy, and from all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.